Welcome to Expert Profiles Atlanta, where Atlanta's influencers and innovators share strategies for overcoming obstacles and achieving success in business and life. Here's your host, best-selling author and Atlanta influencer, Neil Howe.
Hello and welcome to the show. This is your host, Neil Howe, and today my special guest is Brianne McMullan. Now, Brianne helps engaged couples in the Atlanta area and throughout the South plan their weddings with ease, expertise, and an eye for design so that they can stress less while they're hosting their loved ones. Welcome to the show, Brianne McMullan.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me.
Well, tell us a little bit about Brianne McMullan events and what kind of clients that you help.
Yeah, well, we are a small two-person company based out of Atlanta, but again, we serve couples throughout the South. I'm actually working remotely from the beach today because we had a Charleston client that we were working with this week. So we help couples all over the South who are looking for, not just a professional wedding planner, but a trusted friend who's on their side to guide them throughout their wedding planning process. Most of our clients are either busy professionals in, professions like the law, doctors, all kinds of busy people who want to make sure that their wedding planning process goes, smoothly behind the scenes so that they can keep up their day-to-day life, their daily jobs, their personal commitments, their professional commitments without stressing too much. Wedding planning can take a life of its own if you don't have help behind the scenes. So we take all that off their plates so that they can enjoy the process and, make their decisions with ease and clarity. We also love designing events. So we design for clients who, many of our clients are traditional couples, but they want a little modern twist. They are looking for something a little out of the box, something different. They don't want their wedding to look like everything you see out there on Pinterest right now. They want to make sure that while it's classic and beautiful, that it reflects who they are as a couple. So we love custom weddings where we can incorporate details, such as recently we did a wedding where, the client we were able to make a custom bar for them and, logos on their dance floor and just all kinds of fun touches that you don't see every day. And we also love clients who love to think out of the box. So creative color schemes and ideas that they can incorporate into their wedding that tell their story so that their guests come in and they're excited to see what all this couple has to bring to the table and tell, during the 5 or 6 hours that they're there celebrating with them.
Yeah, I think that's really important to a lot of couples is to have something that is unique and not, people, in their 20s and 30s probably go to a bunch of different weddings and they all seem to be, relatively the same, but something that stands out is really something memorable. And that's exactly what they're looking for, is something memorable on that day. So what kind of issues are they faced with when it comes to planning their wedding? What kind of problems do they run into, and why do they come to a wedding planner such as yourself, Brianna?
Yeah, well, most people who are planning their wedding either are planning a wedding for the first time. They've never done this before. Or if they're planning a second or third marriage, the industry is ever evolving and changing. So a lot of times they come to me because they'll either know from the get-go that they need help because they want to navigate the industry with an expert on their side, or they start planning and they realize pretty quickly that they don't know what is industry standard or what things cost or how to accomplish that different look or those custom touches within their industry or within this industry. So they are coming to us for our expertise, our experience, and our connections with great vendors in the area. So many people are coming to us just to simply help them navigate the process so that they're not, going at it blindly. We also with our planning packages, we do save our clients hundreds of hours of time. I think that I probably spend upwards of 250 hours on a full planning package, which broken down weekly doesn't seem like a lot, but over the course of your engagement, that is a ton of time that you could be spending with your family, with your friends, at your job. Most people who are planning their weddings, they've never done it before. So they aren't quite sure what is industry standard. They don't know how much money they should be spending on each different aspect of their wedding. They don't quite know what to tackle first. It's a pretty large scale event and process, so they're not quite sure how to go about planning their wedding. So even if they're planning a second wedding, things are ever evolving and changing in our industry, and they want to make sure that they're navigating the wedding planning process as they should and with a professional to guide them and support them. Part of our process with our planning clients is looking over contracts and negotiating proposals and creating custom wedding budgets. So we're there to support them and help them, an expert on their side that they've hired to have their backs essentially throughout the process and keep things going while they maintain, again, their personal lives, their professional lives. We spend upwards of 250 hours with our full planning clients and helping their wedding go smoothly, which over the course of an engagement, that's quite a bit of time that they could be spending, with their friends or at work or doing other things that they need to be doing to stay sane and keep the stress down during the wedding planning process. So we're also saving our clients hundreds of hours of time. We typically can also save our clients, if not the entire investment that they spend on us, quite a bit of it. So it is an investment in their wedding in the sense that we know how to navigate these vendors. We know what things cost, and we can be creative with our budget planning so that we can keep them within their budgets, but make the biggest impact on their day.
Right. And I think you said that you deal with mostly professional clients who are busy, in their day-to-day lives. They've got jobs, they've got responsibilities, and the time issue more than anything else. If you're spending 250 hours putting that on, that's something that they have to factor into, the price of hiring a wedding planner like yourself. I mean, what's that, $25,000 at $100 an hour?
It is, but unfortunately, that is not typically where our clients, they don't expect to spend that much money. So, an attorney that has a $250 an hour fee, multiply that by 250 hours, it easily adds up. Our fees are typically much less than that. So it really is a great value add on your wedding when you've got somebody who is going to be working behind the scenes to help you and, take away some of that time investment so that you can not only have an amazing wedding, because I truly think that, I wasn't a professional when I had my wedding. I truly think my wedding would have been better with a professional. And if I was doing it over again in order to maintain my relationship with my clients, I likely would have hired a wedding planner as well. So it even would today, because it is so much time and you can get so lost in it when you're doing it by yourself and you don't have that professional to keep you in check and make sure you're doing things efficiently and, the way that you need to do them to get them done, make sure that you're having a great event and you can make all these decisions, but, still maintain, again, that sanity and that calm and peace about it.
Yeah, that's certainly important. Is to remain calm and
right. It should be a joy.
No, that's right. And you need to know that things are getting done, but not that everything is on your plate, because that can certainly add a lot of stress. Now, tell me about the vendors. What kind of issues could people run into with just getting all the vendors set up, and how do you alleviate some of those problems for them?
Yeah, so wedding vendors, there are a dime a dozen. There are so many people, especially in the Atlanta area, who call themselves wedding photographers or videographers. How do you know when you look up a website, that person does what they say they do. Personal referrals are obviously the best way to get business, but a lot of people get on Google and they start looking and they find all these vendors and they don't know how to sort through them. So one thing that, we do, we have a preferred vendor list. Our preferred list encompasses quite a few different budget points, styles, personalities, so that we can accommodate just about any person that comes through our door, any client that comes through our door. So we can, refer them to a trusted individual who will do what they say they do and will provide them with the same quality experience that we would want on our own wedding day. We've worked with these people. We've seen them in action. We've seen the end product. So we know that they're going to provide our clients with a great experience. So on a very basic level, working with a professional who has a lot of experience with vendors in that area, we can steer you in the right direction, towards people who we know are quality, licensed, insured vendors who are going to take care of you. So, we're that buddy, that friend that knows, all the people, all the best, the brightest, and we can send you to the right people. A lot of times too, people don't quite know what they need from that vendor. So even if they find the best fit florist, they might not quite know how to accomplish their look within a given price point with that person. So we're also there to help them navigate the waters with that person that they feel is the best fit for them, so that they can accomplish what they're going for with the most impact at the best price point. So we're going to steer you in the right direction and help you communicate, negotiate, and kind of, work with that vendor professionally and so that you get the best bang for your buck, essentially. So that's, working with vendors is something that we love to do. We have great vendor relationships. It's the cornerstone of our business, really, truly. So, we are happy to recommend all of our reliable, trustworthy vendors to our clients so that they have an experience that, is really stress-free and fun and exactly what they're looking for.
Right. So you mentioned earlier that the wedding industry is an always evolving industry. What kind of changes come about in the wedding industry? And, what really has changed in the last 5 to 10 years from, 15, 20 years ago?
Right. Well, it's so funny all the time when I'm working with my brides and their families. A lot of times we have a great relationship with the parents of the bride too. So a lot of times we'll be working with these families and the parents just have no idea, because when they got married, they would go to the church, they would have their wedding, and then everyone would congregate for cake and punch, and then they'd be on their merry way. Weddings have become much more of a production, and honestly, with every year, I think it changes and the expectations change. There's obviously things that are trendy that people, want to do for their wedding because somebody started it way back when. And, for example, providing, huge shuttle buses for all of your guests to come from the hotels where they're staying to the wedding. That's become something that's super trendy and popular, but it's certainly not an expectation. So we're there to kind of guide them through what's trendy, what is something that, is cool to do now, but that's not really expected and not going to make the biggest impact, on your guest and your wedding day. So I think, the production of it all has gotten very big, and it becomes many more moving parts, incorporating a lot more vendors. Things like videography, adding in a videographer have become pretty much standard with a lot of our weddings. Whereas even, back when I got married 5 years ago, that was not the case. It was kind of a, do you want one? Yes or no. And, it wasn't an expectation. And nowadays, it's something that's pretty standard in our vendor lineup and our roster. So everything's becoming a lot more of a production. I think people are also kind of steering towards incorporating all of these, like I said before, these custom touches. They want their weddings to be different and out of the box and something that their guests have never seen before. It's all about the guest experience. So,
and how about the budget? How has that changed? Because, from what you explained at first, it was, you're married, a quick reception and gone to, the whole production now. How has that budget increased over the years?
Budgets, especially in metro areas like Atlanta, I mean, they're ever increasing each year. You can look back. I caution my couples to go to websites like The Knot and Wedding Wire to look for what budget averages are, because I think those tend to be a little more skewed than realistically what they want. But budgets have increased, and these vendors, this is something that is their bread and butter, most of them. I mean, when I started out wedding planning, it was a part-time job, and now it is my full-time, puts food on my table job. So I do have to charge accordingly in order to maintain a certain level of quality and be able to support my family at the same time. So I think prices have increased. I think that people are spending more and more on these wedding days, and they want to make sure that their investments are taken care of. I always liken wedding planning to, if you don't want to hire a wedding planner, at the very least hire a wedding coordinator. We provide that service as well. That's, someone who comes in on the couple months before the wedding and then on the wedding day to kind of make sure that everything you've planned goes smoothly. It's like buying a luxury car and not buying insurance for it. You've got to have someone on your side who's going to take care of your investments and what you've spent all your time and money doing. So you wouldn't buy a car without insuring it. You wouldn't buy a house without, buying insurance for it. That's kind of what we are. We're that investment, so that if things do go off the rails, we can right the train pretty quickly and keep things going smoothly.
So we've talked a lot about the things that have changed and the things that you do, but what are some of the misconceptions about the industry? What do people expect from a wedding planner that might not be right?
Right. Well, a lot of people automatically assume that if you hire a wedding planner, you're immediately going to go over budget, that they're expensive, they're just another line item on your budget sheet, and they'll cause you to spend more money. Honestly, this can't be further from the truth. At least in my experience, we work with such a variety of budgets and price points and expectations. And so we really pride ourselves on making sure that we can help keep you in a budget that you're comfortable with. Something that we always tell our clients is that, anybody can have a wedding on any budget, but you can't have any wedding on any budget. So we're there to kind of manage expectations, make sure that people know, for what you're wanting, this is how much you're going to spend, and we can adjust and kind of go back from there. Most clients spend at least 20% more on their wedding than they expect to from the outset. And that's kind of industry wide, especially if you don't have a planner to manage those expectations from the beginning. So we're not there to put you with the most expensive vendors and make you spend the most money. We're there to make sure that you get what you want in the price point that you want, and that, you have a realistic expectation of what things are going to cost. Another misconception that I hear all the time, and a lot of times people tell me when they're calling me to talk to me about wedding planning, is that a planner's just going to take my wedding and run with it, and I'm going to lose control over the decision making, and I'm not going to get to have a part in the process, which also can't be further from the truth. We involve our clients to the extent that they want to be involved. Making sure that we give them ample room for making choices, for interviewing different vendors, for making sure that they feel very confident in their decision and that they feel like they've been given that element of choice. So we want to make sure that our each of our weddings, I always tell potential clients that, every single wedding in my portfolio should be different. I don't want to show you a wedding and duplicate that. I want your wedding to speak to you and be reflective of the priorities that you and your fiance have for your special day. So we make sure that we listen to our clients, we get to know them really well, and that the planning that we do is really just to support and help them, plan with efficiency and expertise. Whereas, a lot of people feel like we're just going to take their weddings and run with it. It's definitely not like Father of the Bride when, they're just kind of tearing through the house and changing things. That's not how it really is in reality. We're there to support and kind of bring their own vision to life.
And it's a very personal job as well. You really get to know your clients very well, or have to know them to really understand what exactly it is that they're looking for.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we spend countless hours with our clients in these meetings. I tell my clients that I don't want to look at your Pinterest board until I've gotten to know you. I want to make my inspiration reflect who you are as a couple, the story that you have to tell. If you met each other while studying abroad in Italy, we might choose a venue that has, some European architecture and touches that can kind of reflect that look. We're going to be listening to you and your story and getting to know you really well. And we get to know them on such a personal level that the day of the wedding is really, truly a labor of love. I have a lot of, college students and people who've just graduated who reach out to look for jobs with me. And I always tell them that wedding planning is not glamorous. It is not like the wedding planner. It's not Jennifer Lopez with the headset, pencil skirts, high heels. I mean, we are, our feet kill us at the end of the day, and we are stabbing. I wrote this up for you, Leslie. We were stabbing our fingers with needles while we're sewing your bridesmaid into her dress. This happened last weekend. I had a bridesmaid zipper that completely broke, and we had to sew her into her dress. We are stepping through mud puddles so that we can keep you out of them. We're picking up sparklers in the dark at the end of the night from the pavement. So it's not glamorous. It truly is a labor of love. And we get to know our clients so well, become friends with them. And it actually feels a little bit like we're breaking up in the end when we don't have to talk to them every day anymore. And we don't get to have that FaceTime with them anymore because we've gotten to know them so well during such a sensitive and an emotional time in their lives.
I'm sure that means friends for lives with many of your clients too.
It does. It does. I always enjoy meeting back up with them after their wedding, hearing about their honeymoons, watching their families grow. It really is something that brings us so much joy to see, not only what happens on the wedding day, but more importantly, what happens after the wedding day, because a wedding is one day and it's the start of something very important that is so much more than the flowers and the cake and the band. It's a marriage. And so we really try to keep that in focus with everything we do. And we love to hear about how our clients are doing after their weddings and how their families are growing and evolving and changing with every new day.
Yeah. So talk to me about some of the fears that these couples might have about how things are going to go.
I think that every couple is different. So everybody has their own set of stories and fears that they come into wedding planning with. Some people are afraid that they're not going to be able to get what they want for their budget. Their budget is a huge sticking point for a lot of our clients. We have folks that, want to make sure that their weddings are different than their friends. And so, they're doing everything they can to kind of shake up the mold a little bit. I think that people are also afraid that they're going to get taken advantage of in this process. For some reason, the wedding industry feels a bit arbitrary when you're getting price points and when you're looking at contracts. Just about anybody can slap up a website and call themselves a professional these days. I think that it's a blessing and a curse. I love the fact that our industry is growing and it's provided so many creative folks with a way to support their families and make money in a way that, allows them to be creative and flex that muscle and have that flexibility in their lives. But at the same time, I think it also brings about that, it's kind of a free-for-all. Anybody can become a vendor. So people are afraid that they're going to spend time and money investing in someone and they're not going to get the product that they expected. So, we're there to kind of support them, walk them through that. Unfortunately, we have seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. I told you we do coordination as well. So a lot of times those clients are planning on their own, and we're just kind of coming in at the end. So we've gotten to work with a lot of great new vendors that way. And we've also gotten to see kind of the ugly side of the wedding industry that way, where people come in and they don't really execute what the expectations were. So, I think that that's a very, very real fear, and it's something that we're there to help protect our clients from.
Well, based on the same kind of lines, is that what major or one piece of advice would you give somebody that is looking for a wedding planner right now? What do they really have to look out for?
I think that, obviously you want to vet them and make sure that they are who they say they are. Make sure that they have license and insurance. Make sure that they are a credible vendor. A great way to feel very sure that your decision is one that's going to be, a positive experience for you is to talk to a former bride of that client. Talk to somebody who's walked, where you're about to walked in those shoes, and see what their experience was like. And I think that, making sure that you have a personality match with your planner, there's a lot to be said for the intangible connection that you have with a planner. So, when you're interviewing these folks and you are making your decision, really assess how you feel when you meet with that person. This person's going to be going to just about every vendor appointment with you. They're going to be the ones bustling your dress. They're going to be the last person you see before you walk down the aisle. They're going to be the last person you see before you step into your limo at the end of the night, and everywhere in between. So you want to make sure you have that connection with them from the get-go. We are always happy to recommend our planner friends in the area if a client doesn't necessarily mesh with us, but we think that they'd be a really good fit for someone else. I think that there is a planner out there for everyone. So I would really urge couples to consider different options and interview these people and make sure that they feel very comfortable with the person that they're investing their time and money with from the onset.
Yeah, very important to have that chemistry, because you do spend a whole lot of time with your wedding planner. Now, Brianne, tell me one thing that you learned early on in your career as a wedding planner that still impacts how you do business today.
Oh my goodness. Well, so I used to actually work for a different wedding planning company in the area, and it was an amazing experience. I learned so much, and I got connected with so many great vendors and people in that experience. That company in particular, they run a very successful business model with volume. So they do 60 plus weddings a year, oftentimes. And that was kind of their expertise, was being able to take on that volume. I learned pretty quickly on that I'm not a volume person. I am definitely quality over quantity. I am a yes girl. I always want to say yes to my clients, within reason. I'm not going to wake up at 6 a.m. to answer your phone call, but I do want to be there and be available for my clients as much as possible. So in order to do that, I've realized really quickly that I have limitations on how many weddings I will take per month and per year to make sure I can maintain that level of quality with my clients and that quality of life truly that I need to be able to be successful in my work and in my personal life. So we only take 2 weddings. Our lead planners only take 2 weddings per month. And that allows us to have other weekends throughout the month where we can spend time with our families, travel, meet with clients who don't necessarily have the ability to meet with us during our normal office hours. So that has allowed us to have that flexibility in working with lots of different people and also having a good quality of life. So I'm definitely a quality over quantity kind of girl. And that's kind of where I've learned my lesson the hard way. You know, I can't take more than 1 wedding in a weekend, and I don't want to take more than 2 in a month. So that's been kind of my mantra from the get-go is, you know, I don't want to overwhelm myself because I want to be the best for my client.
Well, Brianne, if somebody wants to get on your list and schedule their wedding with you and get that personal touch, what's the best way for them to get in contact with you?
Yeah, so you can obviously go to our website. It's www.briannemcmullanevents.com, and McMullan is spelled with an A-N. I get a lot of E-N and U-N and I-N, but A-N at the end. BrianneMcMullanEvents.com. You can fill out our contact form. It just asks some general information about your event so that we can get in touch with you. You can find us on Instagram at Brianne McMullan Events and on Facebook at Brianne McMullan Events. And if you just want to shoot me an email and get in touch, if you have any questions, my email address is Brianne@BrianneMcMullanEvents.com.
Excellent. Well, Brianne, you've given us a lot of great information that will be very helpful to anybody that is thinking about a wedding or looking to find a wedding planner right now. Great interview. Really enjoyed that. So thank you very much, Brianne McMullan, for being my guest on Expert Profiles Atlanta.
Thank you.
And to our listening audience, if you like what you hear, hit that like button and share, and we'll see you next time on the show.
Thank you for listening to Expert Profiles Atlanta with Neil Howe. To learn more about the resources in the show or to listen to past episodes, visit expertprofilesatlanta.com.